for a play, he always said he appeared in Dracula, it didn't last long, and he went home. But you would go to, like, movie shows there, movie conferences there, and people would be selling old programs from plays that he was in. There was just too much evidence of it. And when you got into the memoirs, people from the 1951, oh, yeah, they're writing their history, and they mentioned Dello, Lugos. Just too much record of it. So we started going week by week, town by town, and tracked him down, and found that he had played Dracula well over 200 times while he was there. And the big thing they needed to get into London never happened. Right. So in that sense, it was a failure. And like you said, it was disheartening, and it was disheartening because his health suffered. It was a real drain on him. But on the other hand, this was kind of a return to his youth because he started out basically touring the countryside in plays when he was a young man, and then because he moved away from that, and here he was in 1951 basically doing the same. They went all over England, and they went up to Scotland, they went over to Ireland, a different town every week. They would never had two towns in the same week. And this was pretty hard work for them. England was just getting back on its feet after the war, so the trains weren't as good as they should have been. So there was a lot of time between engagements. Sometimes they would get into town on a Monday morning and have to put on a play that night, because they have to rehearse and get the cues right in that particular theater and all that. So it was. I think it was exciting for him, but it was draining. He was. When he was feeling good, he was quite elated on the tour. He was in good spirits and all that, but but the health would just overtake him. So the theme of the book is this is a great man's last hurrah. I mean, he's being consumed by his legend, and his legend is the only thing that's keeping him going. And he's giving it his all night after night. But he basically, if anyone reads the book near the end, he breaks under the strain. He has to end the tour. They could have gone on for more months. The producer, who was only 28 when this was going on, so he was still alive when we were researching the book, and I interviewed him quite a bit. He said he could have kept it going a lot longer. He always thought he had London just around the corner. He was always negotiating with the London theaters. He thought he had them, and then they renege, or the play that was going to leave didn't leave, hung around. It just never happened. But he thought he could carry it off. But Lugos just couldn't keep up with it, so he had to bow out.
Now, Frank, people like you and I in this new millennium, we are what I call not only historians, but we are documentarians.
Okay.
And you've done an amazing job putting this together so that people can get more than a snapshot look, a really detailed look at his life. But if there were people like you and I in 1951, we would have went with a news company and gotten a reel of footage of him on stage. That's just what we would have done. I mean, that's obvious. It's a no-brainer. Somewhere, don't you think there might be some news footage of him on stage that someone taking? He's Dracula. It's a huge movie. Here he is in London. That's news.
The London Times, he was in Britain for 8 months. The London Times never mentioned it once.
Whoa.
The first, it's not like it was then. I mean, not like it is now. Culture trickled down from on high, and one of the things I've learned in my writings and researches about movies is that through the 20th century there was a war between culture that was handed down from the intelligentsia and culture that was pushed up by the masses. And in the newspapers, he got good coverage on what we would call the scandal sheets or the tabloids, but the formal news media barely recognized him. He was interviewed on BBC Radio once, and apparently no recording of that survives. And no, I mean there was. I pray someone would say, "Hey, we made a film of Dracula, but it just didn't happen."